Ed. So in my head, Ed, ball lined up, parallel to target line. You can imagine the low point in our swing at the bottom of this side-on circle that I've placed here for purposes of illustration. So imagine I'm trying to marry this swing path, this swing plane, and the shaft is hopefully visually lining up with that. So I'm emphasizing the delivery of the club be from underneath, and that's what you're after, of course. So naturally the club must arrive from something like, under the plane. It can be a little bit or it can be a lot more. All right, so if we do this, that might shallow it. If we externally rotate the right forearm, if the club is allowed to fall beneath, things of this nature, if we cycle the club this way, we've looked at that, and that's had a helpful effect. But I think the recent emphasis along these lines, I talk in terms of left wrist bow to promote a corresponding sort of squareness of face with a forward shaft lean. You talk more in terms of the angle in the right wrist, which is absolutely fine, still promotes forward shaft lean and a club face which relates well to the target. So that's all completely fine by me, but the real emphasis, the really important thing, sorry about the wind noise in the background, but under, and you must observe the shaft and club head exiting above. So this side, this other side, we've got the inside, the player's side, and the outside, as you well know, but if the club is exiting that way, it will feel to you like you're finishing very high, and it might well feel like quite a cut-off follow through, the likes of a sort of Tommy Fleetwood type thing, although they're obsessed these days with body rotation and dragging the club across the back of the ball and hitting a path fade and things of that nature, so we won't get too bogged down with that. We're going for this kind of thing, finishing high in the follow through. Now, to that point, and what I wanted also to illustrate, and this is why I came outside before I came into work today. Hopefully you can just about glimpse the ball there. I'm in danger of disappearing into this bush, but with this little chip shot, I want to see your center just a hair in front of the ball. So the club is encouraged to lean forwards even before you actually use it, and the club looks a lot like the way that we want to use it when we strike the ball. So that forward lean, you can bow the wrist to begin with. You were talking about increasing the angle in the wrist on the way back at times there, which I'm perfectly happy with. I feel like I rev the motorbike, that closes the face, arching that wrist during the backswing. Don't always create a great deal of angle at the end of my backswing, but I'm very, very adept or decent at creating wrist bow at impact these days, which is nice for me, and I'm sure you're happy for me, but we're trying to go in that direction as well. But I feel like with this little short shot, you just lean on that left foot a little bit, which is not a cardinal sin, just kind of breaking my unwritten rules of keeping a continuity and just even weight distribution. But if we lean this way, all right, we'll steepen our angle of approach. I want you to actually promote the idea of just holding that angle in a really exaggerated way. So with these little shots, you just nudge the ball forwards and just start to get used to that, the timing, the release of the club to whatever degree that by the time it reaches the ball, it's still forward leaning, but it's still in the business of accelerating. So there's an angle in my left wrist, of course. You'll promote the angle in your right wrist, but just keep that on for an exaggerated amount. Just practice launching the ball really low, because the benefit with this is you've got stacks of loft. I've got the 56 in my hand, so if you go for a sand wedge or a lob wedge for this drill, forward lean it aggressively and just try and keep as much loft off it as you can. Just try to hit low launching, driving, sort of almost, I don't really like the term punch shot, but certainly a driving forwards, forward leaning shaft thing. And we can sort of gradually work that into something bigger and bolder. And I think that's possibly a good path. And it's going to be great fun to do that when we're away, to exaggerate that shot and play a few little real drilly sort of penetrating, 40, 50 yard pitch shots across greens, with super exaggerated forward lean and push for that, which is I think what you've been after me having me cracking the whip a little bit, which is perfectly fine. So that's cool. But I think do try that. Try that with your pitch shots in the meantime off the mat and stuff, and just really try and see how low you can make the launch angle. I think your angle of approach might steepen on the monitor, but really try and create the lowest launch angle you can with a sand wedge, and see what you can get it down to. And I challenge you to maybe get it down below 25 degrees, which will be quite going some for you, I think. But we, because we still see that little hint of a collapsing left wrist. I'm not so adamant that I quite like a strong hold. I quite like the fact that when you eke out that angle all you're doing is closing the face. I think that works really to our advantage. So look, enough for now. I think you get my point, and you can always wind this back, so I don't want to just keep repeating myself there. Don't need to when you can watch the video back. All right, mate, crack on. So I know from your comms that it feels like you're pushing, which is good. I know you may have the stance running parallel with the monitor, and a little indicator there you've cleverly put on the floor to encourage travelling along a push path from inside. Club staying outside the hands, noted. Left arm hugging the chest a little bit, but not too bad. Still in a good kind of ready to move forwards condition. Delivering the club from distinctly under the plane, arriving at impact, exiting pretty much bob on. So sort of under to square and staying above there at the end, you know, sufficiently well, which delivers that slightly underneath into out to a couple of degrees extent as the train flies by. So yeah, trending nicely. Keep it there if you have to exaggerate the push path even more, as aforementioned in this video and in verbal notes, going in the right direction and doing the kinds of things that we want to be able to do. Yes, good, like it.